So the speaker today is Trevor Shoemaker, who is the executive director of Main Street Wilmington. And Trevor and I had some communication issues because he said he sent me his bio and I told him I didn't get it. And he tells me this has happened before, so I can't believe it's happened before. So he's going to tell you a little bit about himself. I do know that he's an East Clinton graduate. Which appreciates that. And he's been involved in a lot of different things in the community over the years, very active and still very active. And so the personal anecdote I have about Trevor is that in 1977, when the airport, I was in a bowling league with four of my buddies, the airport bowl, and I had knee surgery in December, 85, went out many years ago. And I couldn't bowl and another guy couldn't bowl. And Trevor and this other guy took our place, and they won the city championship. And it was a big, all the only yard at the bowling alley. I couldn't believe all these young guys won the city bowling championship. I'm sure if I'd have been there, we wouldn't have won it. Trevor Shoemaker.
Man, what a he can talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you stick them up on that too. So, okay.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning talking about Main Street of Wilmington. We've got a lot going on. I want to finish Dane's story about the bowling tournament. What he didn't tell you was that at the time, and this was way back, of course, in the 70s, when everybody who had a bowling team had real nice shirts and everything. And Dana's ragtag bunch of guys that he bowled with were all long-haired hippies who had T-shirts and ragged jeans and things like that. So I had to downgrade myself for that bowling tournament, going with T-shirts and my ragged jeans. But we had a lucky night. We all got hot and had a great time, and we won. And the funniest part of it is, I won't name names, but there was a team in the, because some of you may know who I want to talk about, but they had a bowling team. They thought they were real hot shots, and so the day after we won the team tournament, you come in and you bowl, the doubles and singles tournament. And we walked in there, and one of the guys from that team came up to me and said, we are so happy you won the tournament, because we all said if we couldn't win, we wanted you to win the tournament. And I thought, man, I got to roll my pants up, because that's the biggest bunch of BS I've ever had. So we had a good time, though. We had a great time doing it, but it was fun. So since we had the communication issue, I guess, I don't think we did. I know I sent it to him, but I'll give you a little bit of my background. So as he said, I was born and raised here around Wilmington. I went to East Clinton High School, and I went to Wright State University. And in the early 80s, not long after graduating from Wright State, I was hired to be the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. So I have about 3 years experience then working as the director of the Chamber. And then during that time, we had a revitalization committee was formed to try to better the downtown. So one thing led to another, and not only was I the director of the Chamber of Commerce, but I was also became the director of that revitalization program. So then, as I moved on and went to other things, and then I kind of got back involved in the downtown in the early 90s, and there was another revitalization committee that was formed. And I was on that, working on the marketing committee for a while I was also had my own business doing some things. And then that dissolved. And then in 2002, the the group of people got together. It was DWCIC. And for those of you who don't know that's the Downtown Wilmington City Improvement Corporation. And that group of people decided it was time that we got up, had another revitalization program, and specifically the Main Street program. And the Main Street program is a program from all across the United States. So in large cities and small cities like ours, there is Main Street programs all across the country. And the whole effort of these programs are to, as you would think, revitalize the downtowns, bring them back to life, bring them back the way they used to be, many, many years ago. I know one of the reasons that I got involved with, a couple of reasons I got involved. One was because of my previous experience with the chamber and the other two revitalization programs, but also because I remember as a small child coming downtown Wilmington in the 60s and seeing how great it was. There was all these stores all over the place and everything. We had hardware stores, we had clothing stores, we had everything you could just imagine, like any other small town way back in that time period and before. And one of my favorite memories was and my board hates it when I tell this story, but because I've told it so many times, but on Friday nights, my dad would have his paycheck. So we come downtown, we go to the bank and we go in and he cash his check. And then they always gave away these little packet of lifesavers that had 3 lifesavers in it. So I always look for Friday nights to get my lifesavers. And then my mom went her direction, my dad and I went another direction, and then we met up at Miller's Bakery, and that was had the best baked goods in the world. So we'd get our Saturday morning breakfast, and then before we'd head home. So I have those clear, fond memories of all the different places from downtown. And so right now, our goal is to try to bring back that vibe as best we can with what their circumstances are in this day and age. And so that's what we work towards, is work towards bringing that back with a lot of shops and so forth. Over the years, we've had, the last few years, I should say, we've had a lot of problems with, as you well know, with the vagrant problem downtown and problems of vandalism and other things that are going on. And a lot of our businesses, quite honestly, are hesitant about staying open late if we want to do something late in the evening and so forth. But with the new administration, they are really starting to take steps to help curb that. And I can already see a difference in a lot of the things that they're trying to do. Mayor Pat Haley and I talk very, very regularly about things that we want to accomplish and things we've already started to do. And I think that as we're moving along, that we will really start to pick up the pace here in another month or 2 or 3, and where you'll be able to see a lot of big differences. As a matter of fact, although I'm skipping around from my text, but I'm just talking as what I feel is best to say here, that we have an operation in our out of Main Street, Wilmington, called Curb Appeal. And in our Curb Appeal, we were told a couple of years ago about how when some industries come to town or people come to town that are trying to get big executive jobs with our corporations, they are questioned about, what do you think about the county? What do you think about the park systems? What do you think about this and that? And then when the question comes, so what do you think about our downtown? The kind of answer is this kind of, oh, it's okay. So we took that to heart and decided that we needed to really start to do something to improve the downtown. So in about 2 weeks, I hope it'll be 2 weeks, you'll start to see a few things downtown that are different. We're going to put some huge flower pots at 7 different intersections downtown. And then also we're getting some new trash cans and moving them to the center of those intersections as well, so that will help the trash problem. Also, we are putting up banners that are specific to Main Street, Wilmington, and welcoming people to downtown. And there'll be some that look familiar from other cities, and then we'll have our own banners that are hung up there on pole banners. So that's going to be the beginning of our real kickoff on Curb Appeal. We had a very nice donation from a local company who said that they would help us work on this project. So that's what we've been putting in place. And so as soon as the pots get planted, well, then we start to set up and you see some of those around. So our organization, to say in a kind of a nutshell what Main Street Wilmington is really about, is we are here to promote the downtown and the businesses within the downtown. So that is our primary goal, and how we go about doing that takes all kinds of different paths. But that is the big motivation of what we do. I'm going to pass out here our Main Street boundary maps so that you can kind of get a real good feel for. You're going to pass them out here. Well, thank you very much. So you get a good feel for what our district is about. We don't go to whereas the shopping center. This is the downtown. So this is our defined district that we work within whenever we do a project or do anything like that. The other thing that I'll go ahead and, since I have a helper here, I'm going to have pass out, is that this is our downtown event schedule. On one side, you'll see, on one side, you'll see our events that we put on. And on the other side is events that other organizations or things, events that go on within the downtown area. Yeah. We have 4 main events. And let me interrupt myself. I think of this as a discussion when I come to these kinds of groups involved. So if you have a question, don't wait till the end. Go ahead and, speak up now and ask your question while we're on topic, so I don't feel like you're interrupting me at all. So I always like to think of these things as discussions. We have 4 main events that we put on, and one is our wine walk, annual wine walk, which is coming up here the first part of June. And then in September, we do an Oktoberfest. And then in the end of October, we do our merchant trick or treat. And then, of course, the last event of ours is during the year is our Holidazzle Parade. So when we started out doing events 10, 12 years ago, the first event that we did was what we call our Third Friday party. Some of you who are around here may remember those. And the whole purpose from that party to the events that we do is, once again, thinking about what our goal is. It's to promote the downtown and promote the businesses downtown. Is we try to bring people downtown, and hopefully they'll walk around, they'll shop, they'll go out, visit our restaurants and so forth, and go into places that they've never been before. So the whole reasoning behind doing these events is to bring people downtown and get them to spend money downtown, which helps out our local businesses. The first event we did was these Third Friday night events. And it was the goal, just once again, get people to come downtown. So we started having a little music, and we did it in the Mural parking lot. If you're not familiar with the Mural parking lot, that's the parking lot right next to the General Denver Hotel. So we had music, we had some food, and we had quite a success. We did this quite a few years. And then the Convention and Visitors Bureau decided that when they had new leadership, they decided they wanted to start doing some concerts downtown. So they kind of took over where we started, and we let them take on the Third Friday, which then shifted into bigger and bigger and bigger concerts as opposed to what we were doing with it. Then the Oktoberfest, that kind of came around when the Knights of Columbus dropped their Oktoberfest. We thought we could do something similar to what they're doing. So we started having an event that did that, took care of that. Then our merchant trick or treat, that is something that now it's probably close to 10 years ago when we started it as well. And we get upwards of anywhere from 600 to 800 children who come downtown, and they go into each individual store that's participating and get goodies, and they do it on a Saturday morning. And that really, that is another thing that really gets people into the stores, as well as the wine walk. Our wine walk gets anywhere from 400 to 600 people each year. And that's 400 to 600 people in each store on that Saturday, which really gets gets them to know what we have downtown. This year is the most stops we've ever had, running 24 stops on this year's event. And the committee that's putting this together is doing a marvelous job of getting everything together for it. So then the last thing that we do on our event list is the Holiday Parade. That started, this will be 18 years ago that it started. And when it started, there was in July, and somebody wrote a letter to the editor and said, what we really need is a lighted tractor parade at Christmas time. And when I read that, I thought, we have the Corn Festival parade, and so I don't want to wouldn't want to repeat that, but it would sure be nice if we could start a Christmas parade again, because I don't know, for those of you who are local, remember way back in the day, on the day after Thanksgiving, I think it was on Friday, that Harold Christman, who used to manage the Murphy Theater, he was in charge of putting this parade together, and it was a thing where there were company, I think it was out of Washington Courthouse, had hay wagons decorated kind of just very ordinarily. But if a business wanted to sponsor that wagon where kids could ride on it, or nonprofit groups or something, then you got your sign of your business stuck on the side of it. And that was the most of the parade. We have a couple of high school bands and some things like that. And then when he retired from managing the theater and the other movie theater out at the plaza, and didn't want to do that anymore, then it just kind of went away. So when I saw that letter to the editor, I thought I better try to jump on that before somebody else took that up and we had another tractor parade at Christmas time. So I went to the Sandy Malvold, who was the director of the marketing committee, and I said, Sandy, here's what this is. Here's what I'd like to do, is start a Christmas parade all over again, but not have it a tractor parade. She said, take it and run with it. So quickly, we got a committee together. We started working on it. And the very first year, 18 years ago, we had almost about 50 floats that year. And then it began to grow and grow. And we went through a lot of trials and figuring out how to do things. And we got up to 70 some floats at one point, where we figured out that 70 floats was way too many for people to watch. They're really getting tired of that. So we kind of put a limit of around 50 floats on it now. And luckily, in the last 5, 6 years, 7 years, we've never had to turn anybody away. We've been already right around the 50 float mark. So it makes a nice parade, and people are very creative. We've got companies who pull in their semis and decorate them fully. One time we had a big screen TV on a flatbed trailer that was playing kind of film clips of old movies, on it, so forth. So we've had some really, really good times, and that's what we got quite going. We've gotten to a point where now, on good weather nights or days for the parade, I think our estimates are pretty accurate that we're in the neighborhood of 6,000 to 7,000 people that line from the fairgrounds clear up through the downtown area. I know the downtown area itself can get about 3,000+ people, because I've figured out, I got a little formula now that I use that I can tell that we are jam-packed down there. So it's really become a great event for us. And people come from other communities and talk to us about what we do, how we do it, and have stolen the idea, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that, but I guess that's a compliment to us, but we're doing something right there. So we get a lot of community help with putting that on, and it makes a great way to bring a lot of people downtown. So back to our curb appeal, if I could. We're doing a lot more than just flower pots and trash cans. We're going to work on signage. We're going to work on fixing up the trees we've got, fixing the tree wells, we're trying to figure out a way to keep that weed free without, doing it environmentally safe and not using a ton of labor, but we want to fix that up. We've got some other ideas kind of in the works. And then, and working with Mayor Haley, he's in the same line of thinking I am about trying to get it back to what it looked like in the 60s. So he's got some plans that he wanted to see if we can't put into place. But our curb appeal is our big effort right now that we're working. The other big effort that we're trying to get rolling now is that we have a lot of empty stores downtown. And so our big thrust is working on a plan to be able to advertise these empty spaces, figure out what we can do, what kind of stores would be best for us, and then start to advertise. So sometime pretty soon this summer, we'll be really kicking that off. And now that we've got some other things under control in the downtown area, then it's going to be a little bit easier for us, we think, to start trying to attract some new stores. One of the things going back and forth here, speaking of the mayor, we both have an idea of what we'd like to have some of the blocks downtown to look like from back in the 60s. I can pass this around. I apologize. I've only got one of these. Ron Reddick found an old picture of downtown Wilmington, and he really did some work on it. And as you'll see, as you get passed around, it shows some big, I never get the right term right, but anyway, some decorations that kind of do a swag across the street. So right now we are working hard to figure out how to be able to put those swags across the street on about 4 blocks to start with downtown. There's some big obstacles in our road because we need holes in order to put a wire across, cable across to hang these decorations. And one of the problems is that downtown Wilmington is what I call a one-sided downtown, because every street, all the light poles are on one side of the street. They're not on both sides of the street. So whenever it was, Gary, you might remember, was this 10 or 12 years ago when they redid the sidewalk? It might be back during the Obama administration. A little longer than that. Yeah, maybe longer than that. So we got all our sidewalks redone. And when the sidewalks were redone, some engineer said, well, we have these new and great lights, and we only need to put them on one side of the street, and it'll light up both sides of the street. Well, that didn't work out too good. So it's pretty dark on one side of the street, and it's fairly good on the other side, but it wasn't really what we needed. So now when we want to do some things like hang those decorations, the problem is that we don't have a pole on the other side of the street that matches this pole, that we got to figure out how we're going to do this. Well, we got some plans in mind, and hopefully we can get this figured out. But it's one of the obstacles that we run into whenever we do the things like this, of figuring out, it's not just an easy thing like, oh yeah, let's string a lot of cable across and want decorations. So we're figuring out how to do that. And if we can get that ironed out in the next couple of months, well, then we'll be able to at least get for the first year, several of the downtown blocks that look somewhat like that. Well, there's a lot like that. We might even have to go and get some old cars and park it there. So anyway, as I said, we're looking to bring back that old vibe, but also part of the old vibe is going to be finding the right stores to fit into places. And we've had people come and look, but in the last 6 months, 8 months, a year, things just weren't right for them. So I'm hoping now that we can recontact some of these businesses and hopefully get them interested in looking at Wilmington again as a place to come and visit.
Just wondering about the status of crystals. What's the last word on that?
As the running joke is, they'll be open in 6 weeks. For 5 years, Rigo has been, when I go to ask him, how long before you get up? We'll be open in about 6 weeks. So that's the running joke.
Yeah.
Which the last time I talked to him was a month ago. And he just kind of smiled and gave me this little snicker, and I don't know what that means. I don't know what his plans are. I wish he would get open. It would be nice to have another different kind of restaurant downtown. But I don't want Gary, I wish that if I could figure him out, I could bring him online. Because I don't know what his plans are with that.
Part of the situation might be better if there aren't as many government offices in the courthouse.
Right.
That would be a concern of mine if I was going to open a restaurant in downtown Wilmington, Parkland. But, Denver has shown that you can be a success.
Well, that's right. Well, in the Mediterranean, too. The Fiesta cruise is very busy. Yeah, but speaking of parking, the parking has been a problem for a long time. When I was the director of the Chamber of Commerce in the early 80s, that was one of the main topics that whenever we got together, different groups, they want to know about parking. But I will tell you a little story. I stumbled upon a newspaper article from the 1870s. Have you seen this, Dan?
No, I can imagine.
So somebody wrote a letter to the editor and said, this is horrible. Downtown Wilmington is horrible. I drive my horse and buggy there and there's no place to park it. So from the 1870s, at least, we know that parking has been a problem in downtown Wilmington. So I don't know how we're going to solve it. We talk about it all the time. There's a few ideas we've been bantering about, and I'm really trying to twist the mayor's arm to try something and hope that it wouldn't give us a huge amount, but we could probably pick up another 24 parking spaces if we tried this. So I don't know. I'm still working on it. I'll see if, we can at least try something to see if it works. But it is a problem. And unless you build a big parking garage downtown, I don't know where you're going to get that land. It's either that or tear down buildings, and we don't want to tear down any buildings. It's a difficult problem.
And you get the church parking lots. It's a big parking lot for the Catholic Church. Is that used?
It can be used. It's public parking.
It is public parking.
Mm-hmm. Now they have a sign on there that says, which is now out of date because I do not go there, but I'm thinking that where they said that it's public parking except on certain hours, like on Saturday and Sunday. But I've been told that they've cut back by at least one of their services. So those hours may have changed somewhat, but you can still park in there.
Who owns the property? That
Catholic Church.
Catholic Church up there.
But there's an agreement with the city that it can be public parking. So, and that's the way it was for years ago when that agreement came into place. But I don't know what their new hours are, but there doesn't seem to be any problem because to my knowledge, we've never had anybody from the church.
The other issue, Taylor Sucker, I think, had that one on Wall Street repainted the buildings. It's very attractive. Is there any possibility that we have better buildings downtown?
Well, there's two parts to that. Number one is, although he was the driving force behind getting that painting done, however, that's each individual businesses taking on the expense to have it done. So I know that over on South Street, there's supposed to be, I was told this year that at least one of those buildings was going to be freshly painted between Main Street and the alley going north. And I also heard a rumor that there may be a second one that's going to get painted this year. So as each one of those are kind of doing it on their own, that's up to them and their expense. There's nobody else that's picking up the tab. And so, that little stretch of the street it's a love it or hate it because there's a lot of people who hate it because it's not the original look of the downtown, and there's a lot of people who love it because it's very colorful. In Bell Fountain, there was one building that was about a half a block long, and somebody bought the building, and they did that same thing to their building. So each segment of the building that had a store to it, each segment is different color, and they call it the rainbow. But anyway, they did a massive rehab of that building. Their street sloped, so they came in and stripped away everything. They raised up the sidewalk, so when you start at this end where the building begins, and it's only raised up that much, and by the time you get to this end, it's raised up about knee high. So when you walk up onto that segment of the sidewalk, and I try to describe this, so you have a full sidewalk, and I'll just say it's 10 feet wide. So they took 5 of that feet of that and made it into a flat sidewalk. So in every entrance along their building, you could walk into not without stepping out. So you could get down at this end, get onto that sidewalk, and you don't have to step up on anything, and you can go clear down that sidewalk and get into any storefront left to the entrance. And then the rest of the sidewalk flows with the other sidewalks in town. so you can walk on past all of that. But it's a pretty interesting looking thing. I've not seen it, but I have somebody who went out there and looked at it and said it was very unique and different kind of architecture and structure that they did to solve a couple of problems. So I don't know whether as well we could do something like that. The architecture on it actually was very similar to the building that's on South Street across from the courthouse that Larry Roberts bought. It used to be Maurice Henry's building. There was a very similar looking architects to that. So I passed along a picture of what they did in Bell Fountain to him. So he at least wanted to keep the picture. So but I don't know whether they're going to want to do that or not, but he was very interested in the sidewalk aspect of it because that sidewalk in South Street is pretty steep. So we also, over the winter, had something very nice done for donating to Main Street. The R&L Carriers marketing department did a video for us. They have their team of videographers who do all their promotional work. They spent 3 or 4 months downtown here from time to time taking pictures, and they did a promotional video for us that we can use. It's on our website right now, and I think the website is listed on the bottom of your schedule there. You go and see it, but it was very nicely done, and that was to help out the downtown, and we really appreciate what they did for us on that. Trying to make sure, go down through here, my other list of things and see if there's anything else of real importance. I just want to say, our events downtown started way back. I don't know, I don't know how many of you are here from, been here for a while, but about 20 years ago, when the Harry Potter book series were really big, and we had Dan and Marla Stewart, who owned the bookstore, and they wanted to put on a book signing festival. And so it filled our streets. People came as far away, literally from England, to attend this book signing and book release party. And it was very successful. We had the 3 or 4 blocks downtown were just nothing but wall-to-wall people. It was unbelievable. So that kind of started our doing events downtown to any magnitude. And once we saw that we could do those, I think that's when our wheels started spinning, that we could do events to help pull people downtown and so forth. So I was just trying to think if there was anything else that of real importance that I had for you. Of course, we can always use volunteers. If anybody or any group wants to volunteer and do things downtown, we've got one company who's, we're going to start it's like too early in the morning for you, to start where they're going to clean up one block, adopt a block, and pick up trash. And so we're looking for organizations who are willing to do that on a monthly basis and take over one block of the downtown. We'll be doing that. We're also going to add, as a part of the curb appeal, we're going to add more benches. That'll be coming hopefully this summer. We will take care of that. And then got some other ideas for curb appeal too. But our big hope is that when somebody drives down the street of Wilmington, when these things are finished, that it will be a place that it'll catch your attention if you've never been here before, and you'll want to stop and say, man, you better look around and see what all they have to offer. We have a big social media operation going on. We have a very talented professional social media person who takes care of all of our social media to promote everything we do. We started in what we call our empty spaces, which I mentioned earlier. We are going to start a segment on every Tuesday where we're going to start promoting our empty spaces downtown. So that'll be a segment of the social media that will push out really hard. We can reach out pretty far. We're going down to the Cincinnati area with our social media, go to the Dayton area, and we try to get up towards Columbus, but we've discovered that most of our people who want to come are from the Dayton, Cincinnati area. So that's where we're pushing the hardest on that. So we do that, and then we're going to start spotlighting some our local or downtown businesses. And then we do, anything else that we can via social media, we will be on top of that. But she's really hard at taking care of all of that for us as well. Now, I guess it's pointed, if I have a question. Yes, sir.
Very informative, Trevor. What about the Masonic building? Who owns that? What's going to happen there?
The Port Authority currently owns the Masonic building. They purchased it through which
What's that, please?
it's called the Drive program, and it's a program where the city, the county, and the port are put in money, and then somehow or another, I'm not sure how this worked out, but the port became the force that took on the Masonic building. So they now own it. There's a lot of infrastructure that's got to be done to it to bring it up to just mineral code. And then once they get it to that point, then they're going to be actively pursuing, trying to find someone to purchase it. They don't want to be landlords, so they're going to be trying to find somebody to purchase it.
Thank you.
I meet fairly regularly with Alex, the director of the Port Authority, and it's a pretty daunting task. Our interview Mason's in here, so you know how beautiful the room is upstairs. It's quite, if you've never seen it, it's an unbelievable, the lodge was unbelievably done, and nobody knows what's up there if you're not a member of the Masonic Lodge.
Nice.
And so when you're used to seeing something on the first floor, the deli and the bookstore, clothing stores from way back. Boy, when you walk up those stairs and get into the lodge meeting room, it is one unbelievable room. It's 2 stories high, and it's very ornate, and it's incredibly well done. And so I know that a lot of people are trying to keep in the port's mind that they want something needs to be used for that room, have it become a use, even if it's like a meeting room, a conference room, something like that. But I hate to see anything done to that room other than use it as it is.
How many square feet is that?
You know what? I don't have those statistics here. I'm sorry.
So it's still used by the Masons.
Pardon me?
It's
No.
still used. No, it's not.
No, the Masonic Lodge sold it to the port.
They're meeting up at Sabina. The trouble was, little Masons, we couldn't get up those steps, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's going to have an elevator because those stairs are very steep.
Huh.
And so that in order to have it any kind of public use, it's going to have an elevator. Yes.
As a relatively newcomer, 18 years. still a newcomer. I've always been impressed with the downtown, riding through a beautiful downtown. It's really, but if you get out and walk, you see the empty stores. I mean, what are you looking for or appealing to get in there? You mentioned the hardware store. They're not going to compete with Lowe's.
No.
You know, I mean, what kinds of stores?
Mostly what I believe, based on my conversations with a lot of other Main Street programs in smaller communities of our size, a lot of the stores that they have that fill their spaces are an individual who wanted to start their own business, and whether it be clothing or whether it's, some sort of crafts or something like that. I think the chances of us having some sort of a nationwide franchise to fit in those spaces is not realistic. I think it's going to be more somebody, or maybe somebody who's got a store. Let's just say they have a store in Lebanon. They have, boy, it'd be nice if we had a store in Wilmington, and they might attempt that. As a matter of fact, now that I've said that, there is a business in Xenia that's been looking to come to Wilmington to open up a second store. Small business, it's nothing big. It's a small, they just want to branch out. So I think that's the kind of businesses we're going to be seeing, or what we're going after is the small mom and pop kind of places who've had success one place perhaps, or have a great idea that they want to do to pull in. I was a little fearful for somebody just going in and starting a brand new business. Now you got to start someplace, but if any of you are business owners or have been business owners, it's tough. People don't realize how much expense there is involved in starting a business. And it's not just as simple as, we'll put our goods in there and put out a sign and open the door. There's much, much, much more involved and expenses. So I'm hoping that we find places, such as a bakery or other things like craft stores, things like
Restaurants.
that.
We could use a few more restaurants, I would think. Right? Yeah.
Well, as Gary mentioned, if the Crystals would open up, which is the restaurant across the supposed restaurant across from the port entrance, if it would open up and they were going to have a different kind of menu than what is currently downtown, anybody else downtown. And then I don't know if you're all aware that over on Mulberry Street at the bike trail, there's a bike shop that just opened up there. And I think that thing will go very well. And then the Kava House is branching out, and they're going to have an eatery there in the same building as the bike shop. So, and they may be already open. I know Brad wasn't sure when their opening date was going to be, but it's going to be a very nice little place there. It's not going to be a huge restaurant. It's going to be more, I would call it closer to like a snack shop. I think they're going to serve breakfast all day long, but it's going to be a unique breakfast, just not the traditional eggs and bacon and toast kind of a thing. They're going to have traditional or some very unique things, and then I think they're going to do a daily special. So I agree with you that we could still use your restaurant. Yes, sir.
Most of us who remember is back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. It used to be with when the big band era. Every town had a dance hall. And in the late 80s or somewhere in there, most of the towns started to go downhill, and the downtown started closing. The interstate started to this stuff. And the whole time, it's over in Knightstown, Indiana, took the old dance hall that was upstairs that hadn't been used for years, remodeled it, fixed it up, and it started hiring bands to come in and play Glenn Miller, Mike Carter music and stuff. That place filled up every weekend. It's full. Brought people in from towns all around. It was doing fantastic. It did so up until about the year 2000. Then it burned down. So don't know what happened after that. That was a real wrong. I don't know if they have dance hall right in these old stores down here or not.
Yeah, there's none. It's interesting you say that because there's already a big conversation about something similar to that for the Sonic building. So I don't know. Of course, talk is talk and see if it evolves into anything, but there already has been some conversation about that. And speaking of that, that sort of thing, that I know that Steve at Murphy Theater is trying to grow into having his own little thing on Friday nights there at the theater through the Charlie's concession room, and then spilling out into the lobby. He'd like to have that into a dance area, and so that on Friday nights that there'd be a band like you're talking, not a rock band, but a band similar like you are playing on Fridays there, where people can come out and dance and have a drink and so forth. And so we'll see how that evolves. I hope that does well, because I'd like to see that grow and so like that too.
I got a question. Yeah. I go to the Bible Baptist Church, and we have a lot of musical talent, and we have a concert at the fairgrounds. I think it's every year, but anyway, we have a concert. Do they have? I know they have concerts downtown. Do they have opportunity for gospel music to come and have a concert, or how does that work? I mean, how do you know what groups are coming to your concerts? Is my question.
Well, on that schedule, it shows when the Convention and Visitors Bureau do their concert. They have a summer concert series plus their big weekend, which is the Rock the Block. All of those bands are somewhere from the 80s and 90s, tribute bands, or occasionally they have the original band come in. Right now, there is no other outdoor, just make sure I say this right. There's no other outdoor concerts like you want to have, like you're talking about, in the downtown area. Once again, we've had discussions about doing that. We've talked about maybe doing something like that on the Courthouse Square, Quails Lawn, or that could be down, on the Sugar Tree Street block, which is becoming a place now where we're closing down for concert. So there's possibilities are all there. These are conversations that have been had, but it's, a lot of things talking, but nothing's moved forward to the point of doing something as you're talking.
You mentioned the vagrants. Are these the same people from the homeless shelter?
Well, this is the unfortunate part about what's going on. There is truly homeless people who need our help. And somehow, it's gotten mixed up with people who've been bused to Wilmington and dropped them. And that's caused the big part of the criminal activity. The truly homeless people they're trying to get those to the churches and the homeless shelter and so forth and help them out who need help. But unfortunately, there is a lot, there was a pretty big group of people who had drug problems and who would sleep in doorways of, downtown businesses and so forth because they were just.
I know that's important for that, but how do you anticipate solving that problem?
Well, he's not telling me his secrets, and I say it jokingly but seriously. He and Chief Wilson in the police department, they're doing some things and I think part of it has to do with the court system. I think that the judge now is really cracking down on the true criminal aspect of what's going on downtown, and where they used to be able to get a walking ticket out of the courtroom now. If they got a criminal past and then they deserve to be incarcerated, they will be incarcerated for a period of time in order to try to get a handle on this. So I know some of that is being done, but honestly, I don't know what else that the chief and the mayor are doing, but I know that they keep saying, because he asked me the other day, the mayor asked me the other day, well, what do you think about what's it look like downtown? And I said, well, now that you ask, I said, I don't see as many people hanging around like there used to be. And he said, well, we've been working on it. So that's all he said. So I don't know what they're doing exactly. But I do know that the judge, Judge Henry, has been doing a lot to, drop the hammer on. If they're got a long, rap sheet and they deserve to be in jail, they put them in jail. They don't just let them walk back out the door and then cause problems the next day. We've had a lot of vandalism downtown that doesn't even go reported. But we ourselves have had to deal with it. Some of our things have been damaged and so forth, just because, I guess they're in a.
What kind of people are involved in the vandalism? Is it the same people or kids or?
It's a group of drug addicts and similar type of people that they just repeat offenders. But now I think what's happening is because the judge is not letting them walk back out on the street, all of these repeat offenders will be putting in jail and hopefully get dealt with, to help them with their problem. But, some of those, I don't know if you're aware of it, like some of those people that were so high on drugs, they'd stand in the middle of the street and they'd yell at the cars as they could walk past. And in the, last year and the year before, the police wouldn't do it anymore. Well, now they're doing it.
Is this pretty much in the evening or good day?
Well, I've seen it all the
I don't think
days. Yep.
Not just paying it. As long as this immigration situation keeps up like it's going right now, that's going to get worse. Because it will get more and more and come into this state from outside.
I don't see that.
We got to close that border down.
That's getting political. It's suicide on that.
Yes.
I think it's slightly outside your official business district, but you know what's going in. They're renovating the old workplace perimeter of Main Wall Street and not Wall, but
Yeah, it's Wall Street.
oh well. It's kind of wrong, but you know where I'm about.
Well, if you talk to the lady at Pizza Hut, she says it's going to be a hog farm.
What? I don't think so.
She asked somebody what it was, and I don't know who the person was, and said it's going to be a hog operation in there.
Clark Street, corner of Clark and Main.
Yeah. So anyway, the best information I have, it's going to be some sort of a VA medical center.
Okay.
And that's the primary rumor I'm hearing around that it's going to be a VA medical center of some sort.
It's kind of across from the.
And and if I don't know if this information is correct, but on Main Street, just past the hospital, Dana, you might know this, where it's the building that's down in the well there, just past the hospital. Isn't that a VA?
Yeah, that's a VA. Yes.
Well, my understanding is they're taking like the examination part of that facility and moving it to what you're asking about. Yeah. That's the rumor I'm hearing consistent.
I just, I'm going to check on that because I get releases from the VA. But that's the primary care office. So I don't know what more they would do in another building.
That's the one I'm hearing the most. So I don't know if there's anything else.
I heard something similar from the gas station across the street. They said even the construction people don't know exactly what it's for, but they think it might be some sort of health center, he said.
Yeah.
So they're doing a lot of work on it. So
Why isn't this known? Why are these mysteries? I thought they have to apply for zoning and all that kind of thing.
Are you going to answer that?
No. I just, or you can ask that question. I need to think of another question. Let me answer Jim's question.
Part of it is, I guess, if you wanted to dig deep enough, hard enough, you could find out the rumors. I mean, I ask on the surface of people that I know that possibly have answers, and sometimes they know things and sometimes they don't. So I just never, to me, it's not down in in Main Street district, so that's why I don't dig real deep on it. If it was something downtown,
City council.
I'd be doing deep research, trying to figure out who's there, and so I could go talk to them and so forth. But I just don't know.
Okay, since you're in rubber control now,
That's my new title.
Main Street, Dr. Holland's office closed, and the word is there's sleeping rooms there now.
Is what?
Sleeping rooms in where Dr. Holland's office used to be. And I know this for a fact, because Dr. Holland's told me that Billy Earhart, who runs the funeral, said he's been at the front of his door trying to get him down payments on the sleeping room. So is that true? If you know, and I guess, first of all, like somebody said, I think if they did that, and I think Dr. Holland said this too, they would have to go through some kind of rezoning before it went medical to a hotel or whatever it is. So what's up with that?
Gosh, that was a very pointed question. So
I'm just trying to give
he's
you
got his own reporter days. I don't know. My information says that is all correct, that people were sleeping. Somebody was trying to put in some sort of a boarding house kind of a thing illegally. And my understanding is the city is on top of it. Beyond that, I don't have any more answers for you. But that is true. They were in there. They were doing it illegally, didn't get permits to remodel and so forth. So
The zoning hasn't sold, but
pardon me?
the zoning is no longer owned by Kenrick, is it?
That's correct.
That's right.
Yeah, some individual bought it, and they were trying to do some things in there. And so my understanding is
Individual.
I bought
Who bought it?
I don't know the name of that person, but I just know that they've got some other similar buildings. And that's all my information is for the moment. Anything else? Yes.
Off and on over the years, there's been talk about trying to improve the corridor between the college and the downtown. Like I say, it's been off and on, and is that
Are you eavesdropping on our meetings or something?
not lately? No.
Well, one thing that Main Street Wilmington and the college have been doing has been having meetings for the last 6 months. What we're trying to work on is to build a relationship, a much better relationship between college and the downtown. We've got some things in the works to try to attract students as well as their parents downtown. We are about ready to put up some signage down Douglas Street, on the Branch Street, on the Sugar Tree Street that will direct students from the college to the downtown area. So we're working on that. And then got some other little things that I've been kind of a conduit for the college on getting done. So we'll see, you should see this summer some things changing in that respect. But the hardest part's going to be where, as we talk in our meetings, that Wilmington is a town with a college, not a college town. And so we really want to change the atmosphere and the vibe and try to make Wilmington into a college town so that people from far and wide know that Wilmington's a college town. So, but it's always been as long as I can remember from the early days that I can just remember what was going on there. It's always been a town with a college. So we're trying to change that to a college town.
Good.
So hopefully things will change. Yes, sir.
Yeah, one other thing, there's a stretch of there's a nice trail here in town that goes across that I use my bike on. I can't do it before. There's a stretch of it that was never finished, and it was always very dangerous to ride up that stretch. Have they any plans to finish that? I don't think that would bring a lot of extra people to town if they.
Now, are you talking about like from Mulberry Street
yeah.
over to Southeast Park, or where you
Starts out here, it's Nelson, goes all the way downtown and stops, and then you have to take streets and
Yeah,
it's dangerous till you get over the park.
right.
Any plans to finish that?
Well, there is conversation about trying to fix the link between Mulberry Street and where you pick it back up down in Southeast Park. 3 administrations back is when they decided to run it down, have it go down Sugar Tree Street, line back through the southeast area. But I know there are conversations going on now. How active that?
I think that's real important because back when I could do it, bring in some pretty licensed, they were bike riders, and they go and take the Yellow Springs. My gosh, the traffic goes through there. The business that takes you downtown is fantastic because those bike riders, there's a lot of people do that. And then they tell people about it, and it brings a lot of people downtown. They bring a lot of people downtown here also if we could ever get that done.
Well, there's a lot of between, I'm from some of the things I did as I'm somewhat familiar with the bike trails around Southwest Ohio. And part of the problem is from Morrow, there's sporadic pieces of trail that go through here and then head through towards from Washington Courthouse. The plan from 25 or 30 years ago was they wanted to connect in Morrow or the Cincinnati area to Columbus via the bike trails. But there have been too many roadblocks. There's a road, going to Morrow, there's 2 or 3 different roadblocks from peak property owners who don't want to release their rights to the railroad trail where the part of the goes. And so it's tough getting all of those pieces and parts put together. I haven't sat in on one of those meetings in a long, long time, so I don't know how those different segments are, where they are now with the progress, but they're working hard. And then, now they've probably heard, if you go attend or watch city council meeting, the trail that took off and went west from Nelson Avenue, it went through the landfill area. And now they've got a problem through there because they've got to drive the landfill trucks across the trail, which is going to tear up the trail real bad. They don't know what the solution to the problem is, but that's the one that just recently got finished that goes out to Hawkins Road. So, it's an ongoing battle. And I don't disagree with you that segment of town would be nice if it was a little bit better connected. But I don't know any new plans. I just know there's conversation there. Yes, sir.
I got another question. So you mentioned that business or properties downtown are obviously owned by individuals. So how can a city help businesses get in those buildings? Because a lot of downtown's owned by Larry Roberts, who has his own retail company to attract businesses to rent there. Practically, how can an organization like yours or the city help attract businesses downtown?
Well, quite honestly, it's not the city's job to go out and be, like a real estate agent. That's where an organization like ours is meant to be, is to try to help promote the empty spaces and go get I think there probably is a few little things that maybe the city could do, but the reality is that it's either the individual property owners or like the organizations, any downtown organization or the Main Street program. They're the groups that should be pushing hard to, fill these spaces. And now that, as I said earlier, we got a few of these little hiccups resolved that was tough to, attract people. Now we should be able to have a little bit better success in attracting businesses to fill empty spaces. But it's not really the job of the city. They can help. There's economic development and there's things they can do and help promote, like on their websites and things like that. But to be a true real estate type salesperson or a promotional entity, it's more like what we do as opposed to what the city does.
So have you gone out and gotten businesses to come downtown then? I'm confused. Like which ones per se? So like,
Well, the one example I can truly remember is a couple, would just be, the bookstore that's open now on Mulberry Street. We advertised it when that space became empty, and I didn't even know it was empty at the time. And John Sedini, the owner, called me and said, "Can you promote it?" We put it on. They got 10, it was either 10 or 11 calls from what we posted on Facebook, and they had 2 or 3 very serious ones, and then people who got now, the one that worked it through and got in there. So, I know that one recently for a fact, and I know that there's a couple of others that's been that's helped because of our Facebook promotion. But once again, we can't, we won't. I don't want to say that we're the end all organization or entity that can bring businesses to the downtown. We're just part of the overall plan. So it takes, everything falling in place and everybody working together to make that happen. So
I think what you're doing is great. I was just curious about that one piece of it. So thank you.
Is there any chance that with tax abatements help to bring into business? If they give a big tax abatement, how big that would?
I think that those are big possibilities, but that's out of my league.
I understand that.
But I think it's good. Yeah, it's good possibilities depending on what it is they want to do. Of course, if they're a renter, typically it's the building owner and get the tax abatements. Anything else?
Thank you.
Well, I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak on Main Street, Wilmington, and please come down in town and visit our location, and then hopefully you can enjoy what we're doing downtown and see some improvements. Thank you.